You're listening to The Main Loop, You're listening to The Main Loop, a bi-monthly discussion about what it is that makes video games fun, engaging, interesting. You're listening to The Main Loop, a bi-monthly discussion about what goes into making games interesting, engaging, and most importantly, fun to play. This is episode 5.
I thought you were going to say, most importantly, not shit.
Most importantly, makes the games not shit. That is an important quality in a game, actually. Rated NS for not shite.
Not shit.
Hey, Stuart.
How's it going, Sean?
It's going pretty well. Right before we started this call, my 10-month-old son was making snow angels in his crib in his vomit. So... yeah.
Always nice.
Yeah.
I was eating half-popped popcorn.
Well, there you go. And then I told you all about the vomit angels, and I'm sure that was enticing.
It was great. My life is equally as challenging, so.
Totally the same thing as what I did.
The half-pop was really, just brutal.
Cool. Well, how's the, trying to think what we talked about last time. We were talking all about open worlding.
Open world, yeah.
And I'm guessing you haven't changed your feelings about open world games since then.
I haven't played any open world games since then.
Well, then how do you know if you still don't like them or not?
I don't, but I choose not to.
Okay, I choose not to run. Okay, well, we got some stuff to talk about, but a couple of news items that Stu shared with me. This one is pretty cool. Nintendo Switch has over 100 games in development currently for the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, according to their Q4 earnings report, I think, based on 2017, because fiscal quarters are weird, ? I know Wall Street things. The president said they have over 100 games currently in development, and some of them look incredibly enticing. That probably includes Ukulele, which we haven't talked about at all here, not in the slightest.
Never.
Which is awesome. There was also another game that I just remembered I saw. It's a roguelike that's specifically designed for the Nintendo Switch. I'm gonna try to find it while we continue, and we can circle back around.
Interesting. I've been, we're gonna talk about, probably have a whole episode about roguelike games and what it is that draws people to that. But this week I've been playing Downwell on my phone like crazy.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic game.
Love me some Downwell.
It is so fun. It's so well done. Unlocking a new palette is super satisfying. For those of you who don't know, Downwell is this little, it's a roguelike. I mean, you go till you die and then that's it, where you're falling down a well and you shoot downwards. You can jump and then you can shoot while you're in the air. And so there's all kinds of, Metroidian enemies and stuff that try to get you, and as you make your way down, you just find gems and you can trade them at shops. It's really, really fun. It has retro kind of black and white graphics, and then you can unlock like a Game Boy color palette, or there's like a Virtual Boy color palette, horrifying red and black. It's great. It's really, really fun.
There is actually an end, so it's not technically an infinite runner. It's just so brutally hard to get to the end of a Downwell that no one makes it, but it's still amazing anyway.
I think I've got to the third world, and that's the farthest I've gotten.
Yeah, that's about where I got, but I still loved every second of it.
And I will say it was easier back when I had the iPhone Plus. When I had a 6 Plus, it was easier to play that game. It's a little cramped on just the 6 now. So I'm hoping maybe this year I'll upgrade back to the big phone, mainly so that I can play Downwell.
So why are you spending an extra $500 on this phone? I want to play a $3 game. Okay.
Yeah, I probably actually got it when it was on a free sale, but same thing.
The game, I found it's called Tumbleseed, and the description is kind of like a chill puzzler.
A chuzzler. I love those.
Chuzzler. Yeah, they called it, the dev team that's making it is called a rolly roguelike. So it seems like kind of a chill take, like a Nintendo take on a roguelike. the art style looks just really interesting. It's very sort of different and like 2D Nintendo-y kind of, not like, but anyway, so it just adds to like the slate of games that could be coming to the Nintendo Switch that I'm just incredibly pumped about.
You'll have to repeat that last thing you said because it sounds like somebody tried to smother you and your computer to death.
Perfect. It's basically just a really interesting art style that's kind of adding to my excitement about what's going to happen with the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, speaking of, and this isn't going to be the Nintendo Switch cast all the time, but I think it's fair to say that us and a lot of people who would listen to this show are excited about the Nintendo Switch. We did find out that the online service for the Switch is going to be aggressively priced. I'm reading like sub $30 a year, as opposed to like I think 60 or 70 that it is for like PlayStation Online, PlayStation Plus, and Xbox Gold, which are pretty pricey.
I think the big difference that I'm hearing for the price reduction is that you don't get to keep the monthly free games. Like they do a full rotation they'll do a full rotation on Nintendo. So once the month is over, you won't get to play it anymore.
Okay, that's interesting. Because I remember on the PS4, it was like the free game, you could play it for as long as you kept your subscription going.
Yeah, this one is like you get it for the month and then it's over. But I feel like $30 to $40 is worth that trade-off for someone like me who's much more of a casual gamer and is like, yeah, I'll enjoy like an old school 8-bit Nintendo game on my Switch for a while and then get to move on.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I like it. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. So want to dive into our main topic?
Yeah, today we are going to talk about one of the key elements of games, as we talked about, which is what makes a game not shit. No, we're talking about what is fun. Baby, don't hurt me.
I'm glad you thought of that because I also thought of that immediately.
I'm sure everybody's going to. But what exactly is fun? In particular, what do Stu and I find fun in a game? What draws us in? What's going to make us play that game over and over again? So I'll lead off because I've got a few things in here. Stu, you of course have like full notes and like sub notes. I do like that under your column for like what is fun, you just have Super Mario Run in all caps.
At first I was like, oh, we're just talking about games that are fun. I was like, Super Mario Run. And then I see Sean actually like put work into it and was like, these are like themes and things. And I was like, oh, maybe I should try to be serious for a second.
Yeah, we're just going to do a whole episode just listing games that are fun. This one's going to be a 16-hour episode. So everybody hold on to your butts.
It's actually just going to be a list of games though. Nothing else.
That's it. Yep. Also a fun game. Super Mario Run. Donkey Kong Country is fun. Downwell is fun. Poker is fun.
Settlers of Catan. Yeah, okay. Cool.
For sake of brevity, the first thing that I thought of as far as things that are fun, because I was cruising the old memory banks for, man, what's just fun? Like what's been a really enjoyable memory? And actually one of the first things that came to my mind was shooting somebody. Wow. Shooting somebody. Shooting someone.
Just got that on your brain.
Yeah, doing great. Shooting someone with the shotgun in GoldenEye 007.
Yes.
Which is, of course, the proto shooter. But there was something so satisfying about the sound that the gun made and then the sound of like the impact hitting the other player. It was just such a satisfying, like, I just want, even though it wasn't the best weapon, I just want to keep doing that. And so I really love finding things in games that are like that just like, man, that's just so satisfying when that thing blows up or when you do X combo or this mechanic, like there's something satisfying about that experience.
Actually, that reminds me of when I was playing Heroes of the Storm the last couple of days. I've been playing a lot as Ragnaros, and his ultimate that throws a massive hammer, like a molten hammer at someone. when that kills an enemy, it is just so satisfying.
Yeah,
it's like that felt good.
I love stuff like that. Like, oh, I remember way back being a kid and playing Super Street Fighter 2 on Super Nintendo, and like when you could actually land the Dragon Punch, it was so it just feels good. It's so satisfactory. So it's this it's like visceral, impactful thing it's really enjoyable. In the Fallout games, it's like when you get the great VATS kill and it's slow-mo, you get the perfect headshot, or in those games the mysterious stranger shows up and blows somebody away. There's something about it's like this, it's hard to put your finger on it, but it's so incredibly rewarding and satisfactory in a very primal kind of way.
Yeah, it's like the logic in your brain just like meshes perfectly with the visceral experience that you have, and then you're just like, oh my god,
you're like, yes,
this is amazing.
Yeah, that feels so good. It's like watching videos where something gets destroyed in slow motion, and you're just like, oh yes, I didn't realize this was everything I wanted in life, and it just feels great. And sometimes games can just do that.
Yeah, definitely. I guess that kind of leads well into my first thing, which I put as sensual design.
Wow. Man.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
This is a man who loves games in a very, very particular ways.
Yeah, just in a sensual way. So pretentious. Basically what I was thinking is like, I'm really drawn to beautifully colored games and beautifully like artistic games. And I was trying to like expand that further to, okay, what does that mean if the game isn't really visual? Like, what about a game of werewolf or something? And I guess what I was thinking about was like, that the thing that is happening in the physical world, whether it's like auditory or visual or like physical, just like lines up really well with the logic of the game. And like, I think that's what really excites me about certain video games. And I realize that's kind of like such a just like shallow thing in a lot of ways to say. It's like, oh, I just like really like pretty games, it's like kind of cool. But like, I think when a unique visual art style can combine with, a good narrative and a good logical structure, and I'm thinking of something like Super Meat Boy, where it's just like very particular, but it all meshes well. Like, that is just so fun to me, and it draws me into a game and a world.
Yeah. There's something interesting about that game too, because there's not a lot, like, you don't jump on enemies or really, you don't really directly like kill any enemies, but in that game there is a really satisfactory element to it, and that is when you die. Like when you hit a saw blade or something, the sound and the way the game stops short, it's actually very satisfying, and that actually like keeps the game from being too frustrating, because it still feels there's something about it.
Yeah, that happened.
Oh, I just
died.
I hit that lava. I hit the crap out of that lava. Well, I think too, like I would have probably said sensory design rather than sensual, but we'll go with your word.
They both have SNES in them.
I just see like a giant Hearthstone card, like, I don't know, trying to serve me up some chocolate fondue or something, and it's making me uncomfortable. But I think about, speaking of sensory design, just card games in general, like any game that involves holding cards is really, really satisfying to play because of that. It feels good. I mean, that's why I like playing Magic the Gathering, even though I'm terrible. That's a water bottle. I just like holding the cards. Just dropped a giant water bottle on our hardwood floor. It's good.
Perfect. Or that's even like,
just giving the listeners what they want to hear.
Just us talking about sensual things and water bottles. Yeah.
Let the bottles hit the floor.
Or even like, when you're like playing blackjack or poker and you like do the thing where you just like pull the lip of the card up.
Yeah. Yep.
And you're just like, oh, I'm really cool now because I'm doing this in a cool way.
Yep.
Even little things like that when they're executed well. And I was also thinking of like a game like Borderlands that like is still very much like a 3D, RPG, but the art style was just like built in a way that really fits with what you're trying to do as a player.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I just really love it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Well, that makes me think of too, you touched on a big thing that makes games really fun for me is sort of a sense of embodiment. So definitely that encompasses the chance to kind of do some like role playing, like imagining yourself kind of as the character, like in the situations, but also like getting to sort of embody the world. Like I think of back to reading Harry Potter, all the Harry Potter novels. And it wasn't just like, these were fun stories, but like, this is a place that I wish I could actually go to. Hogwarts, right? Everybody reads the books and is like, I want to go to Hogwarts. And even rereading them feels kind of like revisiting Hogwarts. And so that to me, there's a really fun element when the game creates this environment that it's like, I want to go to there. I still think about, obviously I know I'm not very original. I'm pretty cliched, but Ocarina of Time. And like just being in Hyrule Field for the first time and like just cruising around Hyrule Field and going and hitting up Lon Lon Ranch or Kakariko Village. And it's still just like, it's not even that I want to replay the game, but I want to revisit those locations.
Yeah, for sure.
So the locations in games are very big for me. It's why I still love replaying old games like New Vegas, because I like the location that's in the game. It's fun to go back to. Yeah, it's really fun to go back to those places. And to sort of, again, kind of picture yourself there and kind of re-embody that location. And definitely it can be really killed if those sensory elements kind of don't line up. Like if it just doesn't quite feel, if they don't quite get the feel of the lake or whatever, that village, right, you're kind of like, I don't really want to go back there. Does that make sense?
Sorry, I was thinking of a joke. No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, what's weird for me is that I really enjoy embodiment as well, but I'm more drawn to like the embodiment of the logical structure of the game. So like getting to play through different strategies gives me that same sense of like place that like being in a location probably does for you.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoy replaying games, even if I know what's going to happen, just because like one that might remind me is like Bastion, to where like the artscapes are really beautiful, but like there's not a particular like spot of the game that I remember being like, oh yeah, let me go back there.
Sure.
But like getting to do the movements and hear the narrator react and just like beat up bad guys is a really fun thing for me to do. It's just like a fun action to do.
But that familiarity like is still really rewarding to get to go back and do that. Well, I think too, like you touched on a little bit with kind of the strategy, the logic that's involved in the game. And one of my favorite things when I'm playing a game is just to, and I've touched on this before, but to really like try to follow along with how the game is leading me. Like how does the game lead me through the game? How does the game teach me how to play the game? And again, like when I replay through games that I've played before, I don't like to just like rush right to, oh, I know where the sword is. I'm gonna like run straight there and get that. I still really enjoy kind of what are the signposts of the game. Like if I had never played this game before, how would I know that I need to go there? Like obviously I know to go there now, but it's kind of fun, especially in an age where, well, I might have learned how to go there from somebody else, or maybe I learned how to solve this puzzle because I looked it up online. And so it's fun to try to kind of put yourself in the noob shoes. And that's trademarked, by the way, Noob shoes.
We're actually coming out with a line of Noob shoes, right?
Noob shoes. Yeah.
The main loop Noob.
The main loop show Noob shoes store.
Along with sensual water bottles.
and guides on sensual design. It's also hard to not say our show and have it sound like Main Lube. You're listening to the Main Lube.
We also
show about shoes, shooting shotgun shells at people.
We also just have a box that's labeled "not shit." There's nothing in it, but you get a box that's not shit.
That's if I get the choice, I would always take that box over. I'm not saying the other boxes are, but do you want to risk it?
Right.
Is the question
exactly.
you have to ask yourself. But yeah, it's anyway, putting on the noob shoes is a really fun thing for me to try to look at. Okay, how's the game going to, I know I'm supposed to go over there, but how's the game going to tell me to go over there and find that thing? Or maybe there's a particular puzzle. I think of some of the puzzles in like the forest temple, like, okay, if I didn't know where to go right away to do this, how would I figure that out? And that's so fun for me. I was playing Super Mario World with a friend of mine the other day, and again, there were some of the secret like exits to the levels that I didn't even remember, like exactly how to get to them, and it was really fun to go, what does the game do to teach me, A, that they're secrets, B, this is how you find the secrets, how you access the secrets. Yeah, I love that. I love kind of putting on the noob shoes and try to figure out, if I'd never played this before, how would I get there?
Love those noob shoes. That actually makes me think a lot.
Shine my noob shoes. Noob shoes shine.
Noob shoes sold at a retailer near you. That makes me think a lot about Jonathan Blow's games, like The Witness and oh damn, what's the other one named? I just
Braid.
Braid. There we go.
Braid.
As pretentious as he can be sometimes, I think the one thing he does just incredibly well is he makes games that like set up these logical structures that make you like follow them and you learn them, and then the game just starts messing with you.
Yeah. Because
you're like, oh, but this is the logical structure I should follow. Oh, wait, that doesn't work here anymore because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's what's like so interesting about those games is it like uses that sort of thing you're talking about, which is like learning the structure of the game, and then it kind of like folds in on itself and you have to go a level deeper.
Well, yeah, when the game takes its time to teach you the rules, and then it starts not necessarily bending them on you or kind of turning them against you is really fun. Like Braid is a great example of that. Like you learn, okay, I can, like, when I move this way, time moves this way, and when I go down here, but then that first time that you're like, wait, now I'm at this part of the screen, but I need to go left. But if I go left, those enemies are going to come back, and I'm not going to be able to get around them. And suddenly you're like, well, this game, it's I've been tricked. Like the game just duped me into getting into this corner, and now I've got to really figure out how I'm going to, again, turn it back on the game. Like, okay, I'll use your rules against you.
Yeah, that reminds me of the time when you're like, so the first time you go through a level and you rewind and the Goomba kills you anyway, and you're like, damn it, I'm not going to have that happen again. And then you're like, okay, I've avoided the Goomba as you rewind, right? And you're like, haha, I'm so smart. And then the next level you get to it, and then it adds like a time traveling Goomba that isn't affected by the rewind. You're like rewinding, like, I got this. And then the Goomba just walks up and kills you anyway. And you're like, no.
Man, I feel like this is our best episode. We've got noob shoes, time traveling Goombas.
Just so many great.
There's a lot going on this episode.
Just a lot of great merchandising opportunities. I think that's really the aim here.
Time traveling Goombas from the makers of Noob Shoes.
Did you like Noob Shoes?
And the not shit box?
Anyway, so we've already been kind of talking a little bit about, strategy and tactics, and those are kind of the second things that I want to talk about is like, does this game give me a plan to work through, right? Like, which is, how does the game lead me along? How do I know what I'm doing? And then the next question is, does the game challenge me to say, oh, maybe that strategy doesn't work here, to have to change it? And I think, something like that, even games like Downwell or Super Mario Run, where you like have this pretty good sense of, okay, I can like do this equipment, I can make these moves, this will work really well. And then you run into something that's like, oh, that didn't work the way I expected. Maybe I need to buy something else, to keep moving down the level in Downwell.
Yeah.
And you just like, and then you have to figure out, okay, does this mean I have to keep doing this forever? Or like I can go back to the way it was? And like stuff that kind of knocks you off kilter like that, I think is just really exciting.
Well, and it's fun too, as you mentioned that, to start learning kind of like what's your like you said, what's your plan? Like for Downwell as a good example, like what weapons am I going to actually like try for? What power-ups am I going to hope to get? Like as you start to learn that, you know, you talked about Borderlands, and it's fun replaying a game like that where you can start to kind of figure out, okay, I want to do these quests. I'm going to skip these quests. I'm going to try to find a weapon that has this because it's going to make this part easier. Like, again, trying to piece those things together. That's a really enjoyable thing for me as well. Especially if I'm replaying a game, to think about, okay, I'm going to maybe do things a little bit differently than I have before, or sort of like, what's my game plan here? Ba-doom-ching.
Wait, game plan?
You know, like a plan in a game.
You think we could merchandise that? Like just like a map with a plan of a game?
The game plan book from the authors of Sensual Design. I like it.
And Noob shoes, perfect.
And Noob shoes.
But yeah, definitely, like, you know, being able to say, oh, I kind of understand, like, here are the paths and here are the decisions I have to make. I think that's really fun.
Yep. Yeah. Cool. Stu, what's the most fun game you've played recently?
Ooh, recently is tough. I feel like, so I was playing Yoshi's Woolly World all of last week in efforts to try to release some sort of review on it. And I finally figured out how to take screenshots on the Wii U, and that was fun. But that was actually the most exciting part of the game. Because as well designed as the game was, I didn't actually enjoy it that much. So that was disappointing. So that was the least fun game I've played recently. I would say...
So that's the opposite of the question that I asked you, but that's great.
The most fun game is actually, am I allowed to say Super Mario Run? Because, like, the more I play it, the more I love it. Because it's kind of wonderful.
I agree that it is pretty wonderful. I am trying to just fill up my little kingdom with all kinds of crap now. I'm having a good time doing that.
And, like, the way they managed to stitch together the, like, competition levels, you know, where you're, like, racing against someone else, is, like, really intuitive and awesome, and just adds a ton of replayability to it. So I've just been super digging that recently.
Yeah. Aside from Downwell, I've been playing so much Tracky Trains, which we've made fun of Verby Noun games before, but Tracky Train is really, really fun. I mean, it's like Pac-Man and an Endless Runner just kind of got together, and Snake, I guess, a little bit, because you're kind of trying to...
Frogger was watching.
Yeah, Frogger was in the bushes, creeping
with the snake and the yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Tracky Train, I'm such a sucker for phone games. Like, I really am, because I think they condense the good ones. They condense so many good things. Like, so many good game things can get condensed down into this one quick, oftentimes like one-handed single input experience. And that's, to me, that's super awesome. Like, you can compress all of these like great elements into this little thing that's just like swipe a direction and make sure the train doesn't catch up to you. Like, oh no, but I'm thinking about all these things that I think about when I play quote unquote real games.
Quote unquote important. Yeah, I think, you know, when you kind of dig into those games and you sort of look at everything that's going on, if you kind of like scrape away all of the like buy more coins, when you look at just like the heart of what's happening, there's a lot of pretty cool things. In a lot of ways, they're mixing sort of very original, like sort of important game mechanics together to create new experiences.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So, Stu, I'm going to throw something out at you here. So today, as we record this, it's February 2nd. It's Groundhog Day, which means, of course, that we're going to be watching the movie Groundhog Day very shortly in my home. I may have already watched it once today. But the thing about Groundhog Day, as I'm watching this movie, you're familiar with the movie, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm watching it, and as he's going, you know, he reaches the point where he's sort of embracing it. So he's taking the same piano lesson every day and getting better at that, and he's saving the same kid from the tree every day. And I was thinking, hear me out here, but I think there's a game here. I think there's a game where you play as Bill Murray, trapped in Punxsutawney, and you every day you go to bed and you get the option of if you want to wake up again or kind of quit that session. And you're just going to keep exploring the town and doing more things. And yeah, you could eventually go rob the armored car, or you could steal Punxsutawney Phil and drive out through the quarry. I mean, you can do all this stuff, but as I was thinking about, well, was that dumb? It got really interesting to me because I started to think about, well, there's going to come a point where like what's going to be going on, right? Like, you know that the kid's going to fall out of the tree, which means that some days you're going to have to make the conscious decision that you're not going to save the kid from falling out of the tree, right? Or you're not going to try to get the old man to the hospital, or like, and the more I thought about it from that perspective, the more I was like, this sounds like a thing that I would actually play. Yep. Where and maybe it's not Groundhog Day the game, but something similar where
except there's Bill Murray. I think that's the only real requirement.
We got to get Bill Murray on board. I'll talk to his people.
Done.
But
easy.
But I was even thinking about something like Stardew Valley. But imagine that it was just the same day. Like every day is the same day. So you've got to learn. I mean, kind of like Majora's Mask, of course, did this with this 3-day period. And so you had to learn the patterns of the different town folk and what they were going to do. And you couldn't really just go like do a quest. You had to take the time to figure out like kind of the different phases of the quest across the days, and you had to relive that cycle. There was just something about that idea of like, you're just a guy stuck in a town and you can interact with the people, and every day you're going to know a little bit more of how to interact with them, or you can do different skills, or you can help different people, but you're going to start having to make choices like, oh, I know this person's going to be in trouble or need help, but today I'm letting that person die, or I'm letting this, thing get away, whatever it is. There's something there for me.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. It makes me think of like, you could have a skill tree of like very, very basic, like not like, and then at the 300th day, you become a superhero. But like, that just kind of like changes you, sort of like Fable style, right? Where the decisions you make change the type of person you are. But like, they change you, but the thing the actual thing you're interacting with stays the same.
Yeah. And I realize I'm describing most roguelike games in some ways, but yeah, more I don't know. Because I think about Infinity Blade, the Infinity Blade series, which was you kind of did that, right? You went through the cycle, you go through all these bosses, and then you get the crap kicked out of you at the end, and you die, and then you take over. But it's like, every time you go through, you learn the best route, you learn new strategies. Maybe it's not Groundhog Day. Maybe it's more like Infinity Blade. Maybe you're trapped in the dragon attacks at the end of every day, and you won't be able to even stand a chance against him for a long, long time. And maybe you don't want to. Maybe you're just going to not try to fight him. Maybe you're going to, every day you get a little better at, I don't know, fishing.
I don't know. I kind of like the Groundhog Day.
You get a little bit better at making noob shoes.
Just because I like it's kind of like Stardew Valley, right? Where it's like kind of mundane, right?
I like the idea of Groundhog Day, the game. There's
just like something very peaceful about it being not like, and then you have to overthrow the evil king. It's just like, nope, you're just kind of like doing your thing, learning some shit.
I mean, and eventually, just like he did, you're gonna start trying to kill yourself in different and more inventive ways, and you might decide to spend your time doing that for a while. But I think this idea of there's a town and it's full of people, and those people have all these things, but it's all got to be able to play out in one day. I think that sounds like a really fun space.
And we can make it freemium by like, you just get coins over time, but each time you want to restart the day, you have to pay more coins. But obviously, if you want to do multiple times in a day,
well, you've got to spend an energy crystal if you want to keep the coins.
Right.
But of course, you can unlock the unlimited coin keeper.
Well, you can unlock the undecaying coins.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and if you want to remove ads and double your coins, that would just be $3.99
per hour.
Great. It's great.
Perfect.
Yep.
So I think we've got a multimedia empire pretty much planned out now. So,
Yeah. Groundhog Day, the game, Noob shoes, the not shit box, sensual designs by Stu. I think we've got. Why are we even doing this show anymore? Let's get it.
Yeah, let's just go do that.
All right. Well, Stu, how's the blog going?
Well, I kind of fell down on my face last week, but other than that, got a few things with the whole Yoshi's Woolly World, where it's like, oh, I've got plenty of interesting things to say, except I kind of hate this game.
Yeah, but that's interesting to me.
True, just a full 5 paragraphs of Stuart ranting about Yoshi. That got dark there. Oh, okay. Yeah, aside from that, I'm probably gonna do a couple more reviews. I think now that I've got the whole Wii U screenshotting thing figured out, definitely gonna target a couple more of those so I can kind of explore different platforms. I've made a little bit more progress on Pokemon Moon, and also my personal board game that I'm in the process of building is coming along pretty well. I'm pretty excited about it. Got some good feedback. I think I'm on iteration 4 or 5, so got some things in the works.
That's awesome. Well,
how about you, Sean?
Well, we'll get to me, but where can people find your blog before we forget about that?
Yeah, that's right. I'm good at this whole podcast hosting thing. 4 episodes in, you wouldn't know it.
So I'm doing a blog. You can look me up on Alta Vista. I'm sure you'll find me. Just look up Video Game Blog by Stu.
I think it's actually altavista.pawnee.gov. No, you can find me at amateurmythology.wordpress.com.
Fabulous.
That'll be in the show notes if you're having trouble spelling that.
I like it. Cool. Well, you can, of course, find me tweeting mostly about software development, but you can still follow me on Twitter at Sean M. Bragg. And you can follow the show as well to find out when we're recording and what kinds of things we got coming up. You can follow at The Main Loop. I have to always keep the track because I couldn't get the email and Twitter the same. So you can follow at The Main Loop on Twitter. You can also email us at mainloopshow@gmail.com if you have feedback or suggestions. We want to know what games you like. And yeah, email us and let us know what makes games fun for you in particular. And don't steal any of our ideas that you've heard. These are all patent pending, copyrighted, Creative Commons.
Yeah, Noob shoes coming to a noob near you.
Every time you say Noob shoes, I just imagine Crocs because those are Noob shoes. Those are actual Noob shoes. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for today's show. Thanks as always for listening.
Yep.
And,
thanks for bearing with our product planning session.
Yep. And from Stu and myself to the Groundhog.